The sad reality is 1 in every 3 relationships will be affected by some form of cheating. That's the bad news. The good news is it's completely preventable. And I know that that's obvious to most of you, but for me, I didn't know the warning signs. And I'm not saying that as an excuse. I'm just saying that if I knew the information that I'm going to share with you today, I think it would have changed everything about my relationship. Now, for those of you who don't know my story, the reason I'm so confident that I can recognize signs of cheating is because I betrayed my wife earlier in our marriage. And she gave me a second chance that I did not deserve. And I took it. And I went to all the counseling. And I read the books. And I did the work to self-reflect and truly realize the damage that I had caused her and our relationship. And slowly, I rebuilt her trust. And I healed this marriage to the best of my ability. And when I look back at our relationship as a whole and my own personal maturity, I can see all the red flags now. I had never cheated before in any other relationship, and like you, I never thought I was capable of doing something like that until I did. So now I want to do anything I can to prevent anyone else from going through what I put my wife and our relationship through. And very quickly, I just need to acknowledge how understandably triggering this topic is for people who have already been betrayed. So let me be extremely clear. In no way throughout this video will I ever blame you for someone else's choices. In no way will I ever say that you or even the relationship caused them to cheat. That's not true. There is no excuse for cheating. It's not a mistake. It's a self-centered choice. And far too many people who have been cheated on have been blamed for someone else stepping out of the relationship. And I just need you to know it's not your fault. We're all in charge of our own choices. No one is forced to cheat, right? At any point, I could have ended my relationship and done whatever I wanted, but I didn't. And I have to own that choice. And no one deserves a second chance after infidelity, even if they really are sorry. And even if they're willing to put in the work like I did, that doesn't mean I deserved a second chance. You do not need to feel guilty at all if you choose to end that relationship for your own mental and emotional health. Anyone else telling you otherwise is wrong. So having said that, what are the top predictors that increase the chances of betrayal happening in a relationship? Number 1 is self-centeredness and narcissism. If you're dating someone who is arrogant, entitled, only thinks about themselves, rarely thinks about how their words and actions affect other people, especially you, someone who is uninterested in navigating conflicts in a respectful way, that type of partner massively increases the odds that cheating is going to occur. Because healthy relationships are all about service and sacrifice, right? They require you to place your pride and ego to the side for the benefit of someone else. That doesn't mean you need to abandon all of your boundaries and needs. It just means you care about the other person just as much as you care about yourself, right? There's no place for self-centeredness in a relationship. Just leave that crap at the door. Self-centered people think that they're entitled to someone else's body. They think that sexual intimacy is all about what they can get, not what they can give. They don't see the bedroom as a place where mutual respect and connection and closeness thrive. It's a place to focus on my pleasure, not to think about my partner's. And so what happens when you don't get what you want, right? You throw a tantrum and you either sulk or guilt trip or punish your partner for turning you down by going out and getting it somewhere else. And you actually feel justified doing that. These type of people, despite being so arrogant, are usually the most insecure and will cheat simply because they need external validation that they're still important or attractive to someone else. And please don't mishear me. I'm certainly not saying that if you're dating or married to someone like this, that it's your fault somehow that they cheated on you because you picked them. I'm just reminding you of what you already know. You deserve someone who cares about your perspective, who values your feelings and needs, and who actually wants to build trust and intimacy with you. So do not settle for less than that. All right, number 2, placing yourself in compromising situations where the risk for cheating is increased. Stop creating an environment where you're vulnerable to doing something dumb and then being shocked when you do something dumb. Don't get drunk on that work trip with your coworker that you've always found attractive and think everything's going to be fine. Stop doing drugs when it results in you having no control over your body anymore. Don't go to the strip club when all your buddies do. You're rolling the dice and you know it. It's not rocket science. We all protect the things that we care about the most. Do you feel like you're actually protecting your relationship in those circumstances when you're out of control? Because that's not going to be a good excuse. Oh, I just had too much to drink. Because that's what happens. When something dumb happens, you'll blame the bar. You'll blame your friends. You'll blame anyone but yourself. And you'll say, no, it meant nothing. It was just physical. Well, let me tell you why that's so hurtful to say, because it certainly didn't mean nothing to your partner. They feel completely betrayed, completely lost, shattered into a million pieces, confused, broken, hopeless that they could ever get back to normalcy and actually feel safe in this relationship again. And all you can say is, it meant nothing. That breaks their heart even worse. And my goal is to do anything that I can to prevent your partner from feeling that pain. This video might only reach 50 people, but if it prevents that pain for just one person, it will be worth it. All right, number 3, you've normalized keeping sexual secrets from your partner. Now, I'm not saying you need to share every thought with them, but I am saying that if you're looking at pornography behind their back, and you know that they would view that as a betrayal, but you're doing it anyways, that's a big problem. You can't tell me you value this relationship and your partner, but you're doing something that they have told you would hurt them, but you think it's better just to keep a secret. Pornography hurts you and your relationship. And even if you don't believe me that it's bad for your mind and how you view intimacy and women overall, you would at least agree that it's bad for your relationship for you to do something behind your partner's back that you know would really hurt them if they found out. And I don't know if this is like a subcategory, but stop texting with or flirting with anyone else in a sexual nature that's not your partner. It's not normal. It's not okay. It's not just something that guys do. It's harmful, and it's putting you at unnecessary risk for stepping out of your relationship. Integrity is defined as what you do when no one's watching. So if you wouldn't talk to them or text them like that if your partner was right next to you, then you shouldn't be doing it at all. That brings us to number 4. A third of all people that cheat do so with someone that they work with. So what are you doing to protect that? Because I can tell you how most of those relationships start. Innocently. They start with just spending time together, working on a project together, or just going to lunch together. Am I saying that you can't speak to other people at work? Of course not. Am I saying that you can't have lunch with your coworker? Of course not. I'm saying don't be naive. You know you're developing feelings for them. You light up when they smile at you. You love it that they bring you coffee in the morning, right? You secretly hope it works out that you can have lunch with just them. You've started talking to each other about each other's relationship problems. They get you. You have a connection together, right? They bring something out of you that feels really nice. And once you find yourself deleting texts that they've sent you, once you find yourself rearranging your schedule so you two can be alone, once you're keeping secrets about it, you've already entered an emotional affair and you might not even realize it. And after an affair is discovered, most people say, I never planned on it going that far. And I get it. Most people don't plan to cheat emotionally or physically or sexually. They just don't plan hard enough not to. All right, number 5 is immaturity and a lack of commitment. Now, I've already touched on immaturity when I talked about self-centeredness and keeping secrets from your partner, thinking that you're entitled to their body. All of those are red flags. But it's also a red flag when you combine immaturity and commitment issues and you have someone who you're in a relationship with, but they always seem to have one foot out the door, right? This could be someone with avoidant attachment. Not that I'm here to hate on those people. I'm just saying sometimes that plays a role because some people really do cheat just to escape. Closeness and connection don't make them feel safe. It's the opposite for them. It makes them want to run away. And they don't trust love from other people. So sometimes they subconsciously will sabotage a good relationship and they'll cheat just to avoid commitment and having a hard conversation about breaking up. For them, cheating is about proving to themselves, hey, we're still in control here, right? We're still independent. We still have autonomy of our decisions. Because if we didn't, if we truly opened up our heart to someone else, they could hurt it. And I can't take that chance. But instead of talking about my fears or concerns or even ending this relationship, I'll just cheat. And if that's you, and for some reason you're actually watching this message, I would just say it makes sense that you struggle with commitment. It makes sense that these types of intimate relationships scare you. It never worked out for you to actually open up and be vulnerable and trust someone else with your heart. It makes sense that you've turned off feelings and you're numb and you struggle with so much shame. You hear their frustrations or even needs as an attack against who you are. You shut down because talking doesn't seem to help anything, right? But sabotaging your relationship isn't the answer. You deserve healing. Those are all trauma responses. And I know you've been through some really hard stuff. And you can't go on like this forever. Superficial connections until you feel smothered and then you run away. You can learn how to feel safe within a relationship with the right type of partner. You can learn how to regulate your feelings and emotions instead of running away from them. You can learn how to connect with someone else without losing your independence. It's possible for you, and I promise you it's worth it. Stop hurting other people as a way to cope with your own pain. Number 6 is years of unresolved conflict. The best way to implode a relationship from the inside out is the inability for you both to have difficult conversations without becoming defensive or shutting down or lashing out in rage with criticism. Show me a relationship where one or both partners doesn't feel like they can even communicate with their partner, and I'll show you a dying relationship. I'm going to hold you both accountable here. Stop fighting. There's no point. Think of your last few fights. Did anything positive come out of them? Anything at all? I didn't think so. So stop. From now on, communicate respectfully. You have to create a climate where you can actually share your feelings and needs with your partner and them not punish you for it. And you have to learn how to communicate vulnerably so you don't criticize, shame, yell, and blame your partner for your own feelings. You have to stop being passive aggressive and critical. So that sounds like, I guess this is all my responsibility. You're so lazy. And instead, you have to actually start communicating with your actual feelings. Not, I feel like you don't even care. I feel like you're a jerk. That's not a feeling. And you have to stop getting defensive and taking everything as an attack. You have to learn to actually listen with your mouth closed and care about your partner's experience and validate their feelings as real. You both have to be working on this. No more yelling, no more name calling, no more fighting. Make a pledge to stop all that now. And I can't go into all the details on how to do that. Watch some other videos that I have on conflict if you actually want to take that next step towards fighting respectfully. All right, number 7 is a lack of emotional connection. Now, there's no excuse for cheating, but if you want to destroy your relationship and turn your partner against you, I can tell you how to do it. Just neglect them emotionally for years on end. Deprive them of the bare minimum of attention, consideration, affection, dismiss and invalidate any concerns or frustrations that they're vulnerable enough to share, and systematically destroy the trust and safety in this relationship. And that person will leave that relationship one way or another. I know there are some of you out there that feel like you've sacrificed and served your partner for years, and all you feel is taken for granted. You feel disconnected, alone, and abandoned, and you have given up. Physically, emotionally, definitely sexually. It's just not worth the effort to try anymore, is it? And maybe you've stayed because you have kids together, or you don't have enough money to survive on your own, or your religion. I'm certainly not here to invalidate your experience. I'm here to lovingly warn you. Once you reach that level of resentment and bitterness towards the partner you're with, but you can't or won't leave, it definitely sets you up at risk for straying. And I know you've stayed loyal for years, but the combination of feeling completely stuck in a lonely marriage and your partner actively sabotaging any intimacy or connection makes you extremely vulnerable to someone else coming along and giving you that attention and affection that you crave. And all it will take is a spark of someone else flirting with you, and all of a sudden you feel valuable again. You feel appreciated, you feel important and connected to another person. And that feeling that's been suppressed inside of you for years comes to life again. And it's really hard to resist not wanting more of it. Now, does that make it justified? Of course not. Does that mean that the neglectful partner caused them to cheat? Of course not. It was still a choice, and the vast majority of the time, they regret that choice. And if they could go back, they would change that in a heartbeat. Doesn't change the fact that the warning signs were there all along. From my standpoint, I see someone standing on a pile of gunpowder holding a match. I don't care how the gunpowder got there. I don't care who to blame for the match. I'm simply here to warn both of you. Your relationship is primed to blow up. The best prevention for cheating turns out to be the same as the best prevention for divorce, which is intentionally building trust and intimacy with each other. If you think you can put your relationship on autopilot and everything's fine, you're wrong. The plane crashes. If you're not intentionally strengthening your bond, then it's weakening. And eventually the bond gets so thin and weak, it doesn't take much for it to break. Once again, that doesn't justify someone cheating on you ever. My goal for this video is not for you to watch it and then take the blame for someone else's poor choices. I don't want you saying, oh, I see what happened. I just wasn't giving them enough affection. I didn't realize they were so unhappy. Now I know what to look out for. It's not your job to do someone else's work for them. That's coming from a place of anxiety and fear. And that's not a foundation of a healthy relationship. Healthy would be both of you being able to have productive conversations about the warning signs of any betrayal inside of ourselves and be honest with each other about that. Maturity is you both taking accountability for your own fears and traumas head on. Maturity is the ability to self-reflect. Maturity is taking the time to understand myself. What am I actually looking for in a relationship? Does this current relationship fulfill me? It's okay if the answer is no, but we need to do some work on that and maybe get some help from someone outside of this relationship. The answer isn't just to bury those feelings and needs and act like they don't exist. If you can't be honest about some of your strongest desires in a relationship, if you're not honest with yourself or your partner about what leads you to feeling fulfilled in a relationship, then you're setting yourself up to fail. That might come in the form of getting divorced. That might come in the form of feeling completely disconnected from your partner for years, or it might come in the form of sabotaging your relationship in a number of different ways, including cheating. But I don't want any of this for you. I want you to have the relationship that makes you feel the most fulfilled. But in order to get there, you have to actually be honest about what that looks like to you. And make no mistake, this is not about control. We don't need to control anyone else to do anything. This isn't about control. It's more about compatibility. Do we even know what a compatible mate looks like for us? What they sound like, what they feel like, because that's important. And this also isn't about making sure that all of your sexual needs are constantly being fulfilled. Sex is not the most important thing in your relationship. Intimacy and connection and safety are. And those all start outside of the bedroom. Your sexual relationship with your partner is going to ebb and flow over the years, right? We need to be prepared for how our sexual relationship changes in lots of different ways. Part of loving someone and making a commitment to them is saying, I value you more than I value the bedroom. And I'm not saying sexual intimacy with your partner isn't extremely important. It is. I'm one of those people that thinks it's important. And I still realize it cannot be the foundation of my love for my partner, right? Part of maturing is understanding, why is sex important to us, right? Why do we place so much value on it? I'm not saying it's wrong to value a rich, passionate, connected sexual relationship with your partner. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes we use sex as a crutch. We use it as a replacement for actual intimacy. We use it as a pain reliever. We use it as a distraction. We use it for self-pleasure, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the other person, does it? And that's not love. That's most likely a trauma response. And it's our job to start healing for whatever purpose we're using either pornography or sex as a way to self-soothe. The best prevention for cheating is transparency, honesty, and maturity. What are you doing right now to cultivate and grow and prioritize those aspects in your relationship? Can you actually hold space for your partner's honesty? Do you encourage their vulnerability? I'm not saying they should be rude and call you names and belittle you. Of course, we still need to be respectful when we're vulnerable. But if they were, could you actually listen to try to understand them and validate any feelings and needs they have as real to them, at least? Can you guys communicate about what a mutually respectful, mutually fulfilling relationship looks like to each of you? Can you look past each other's shame and insecurity and see each other's heart again? Can you do anything in your power without violating any of your boundaries to serve and sacrifice and prioritize each other in the ways that they feel it most? Because that's the best prevention for any cheating. Honesty in ourselves. What areas am I struggling with? What are my temptations? What secrets am I holding from my partner? And the maturity to create a climate where my partner feels encouraged and safe to share their inner world and how I can love them in the ways that they feel valued most. And if after doing all that, I determine this relationship just isn't for me, the transparent, honest, mature thing to do is end that relationship. It's not about becoming resentful and selfish and putting yourself in situations where you could do something that you regret later. Now, will that completely eliminate the risk of betrayal? Of course not. But you can't watch this whole video and come to the conclusion that if two people were actually dedicated to growing in emotional maturity and self-reflection and learning about themselves and then respectfully and vulnerably communicating their inner world to their partner and vice versa, that it wouldn't bring that risk down as low as possible, because that's what I want for each of you. So thank you so much for listening, for those of you who made it to the end, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.